Author's House.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nicole Richardson. Today is April 5th, 2023, and I'm gathered here today with Dr. Francis Pitard, the author of Rapa Nui Settlers, By Choice and Necessity, the sequel of Heirs of a Lost Race. So, could you give us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your book as well?
My name is Francis Pitard. I am a doctor in technology, and I was long time ago I was working for the French Atomic Energy. So my trade is in statistics, and I have a big business on that. And writing books was just for pleasure, a hobby to do. I start with Heirs of a Lost Race, and after that, Rapa Nui Settlers. And then I continue after with From Normandy to the Hell of Havre's book. So, and then I have a fourth book in process with Third Press.
Okay, awesome. That's really cool. So, what is Rapa Nui Settlers about? Could you give us a brief synopsis?
Rapa Nui Settlers has something to do with the migration of Polynesians about 1600 years ago, and they were looking for, they had contact with somebody coming from Peru. And those people coming from Peru were not good navigators. They got to sea with a raft, and because they were chased by people that want to exterminate them. So they got in contact finally with the Polynesians, and then that triggers the curiosity of Polynesians that were good navigators and say, well, we should explore farther east to see where those people come from. And then on their way to South America, they bumped to that big island that was Rapa Nui, or called today by European historians.
Is this the first book you've ever written?
No, the first one was Heirs of a Lost Race. Rapa Nui is the sequel.
Right, so this is the second book in the series.
Yes.
Okay, will there be any more books in the series or just these two?
I start to write a third one. I was starting to write on the third one when I was in Australia last week.
Okay, that's awesome. Congratulations.
It will take me some time.
So do you write for a living, or is it more of a hobby for you?
No, it's strictly a hobby, not for a living. I have for a living, I have a big business with statistics, mainly working for the mining industry.
Okay, that's cool. I like to write as a hobby too. I feel like making it your job or your career can take a lot of the fun out of it. So
yeah, and actually, it never occurred to me that I will write to make money. That was not my goal. I do it for pleasure, to pass important message across. That's all I want.
I know you said that this is the second book in this series, but what inspired the idea for this book? Why did you feel the need to write a second book in the series?
Because I lived for 3 years in French Polynesia, in Tahiti, and I was inspired by the whole philosophy of Polynesians that were outstanding navigators. And their values are quite different from ours. They don't have the same philosophy of life as we do. However, they have, I think, we could get inspired by them. They have good idea, and that gave me motive to write those books.
Has this book changed since you first had the idea for it?
No, not much, because it's based on historical facts, you know, and those historical facts have been controversial because there is a lot of politics involved here. You know, whoever got to that island long time ago, the Europeans, the Peruvians, the Chileans, they all brought disease and all sort of stuff. And they are on denial on that. They don't want to recognize that they were bringing a first-class disaster to the people of the island that had no protection against those diseases. So they want to convince the rest of the world that they self-destruct themselves. And that is not true.
How do you want this book to impact your readers? What kind of message do you want them to take away from it?
The first settlers were, isolated on this island. What do? They were first-class meditators. And actually, the first name of the island was not Rapa Nui. It was, I will translate to you. The first name of the island was Matakitirani. It means eyes looking at the stars. So they were deeply inspired by meditating at night on a clear night, looking at the Milky Way. And they thought that light coming from the star had a deep impact on their way of thinking. And I think they have a point, and we can do that kind of meditation today ourselves if we try to do the same thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think that we can definitely do the same. Did you struggle with anything while you were writing this book?
Try to document myself about everything I could find to make sure that what I was saying in the book was in line with historical facts.
Okay, that making sure that everything was accurate.
a lot of research to involve here.
Okay, yeah. I can definitely see that you did a lot of research for this book.
Yes. And then after that, the last thing I did is to go on the island myself 3 times with my wife. And we had a wonderful time. We really went. It's a beautiful place to meditate. It's a fascinating place for meditation. It's inspiring. I don't know. There is some magic on that island that is difficult to explain.
Okay. Yeah, I can completely understand that. I have only ever traveled outside of America once. I went to the Niagara Falls on the Canada side with my family when I was younger, and I just remember being absolutely in awe. Yeah. So I can only imagine all the really cool stuff you saw there.
I will give you a list later on where to go in the South Pacific.
Thanks. Now, I know that you said that this book is based on historical facts, but I also know that there's a little bit of a story to it. Are there any portions of this book, topics, or characters that you connect to on a deeper and more significant level?
The same characters that in the Earth of a Lost Race. The main character was Ina of the Valley. She's Polynesian. It's a young woman. And then the other character is Countess Veracocha, coming from Peru. And they met. In Earth of a Lost Race, we realized there's a beautiful love story. And it's a continuation of this, as they are the first settlers of the island.
Okay, I see. If you were to expand on one single topic, which topic would you choose to expand on?
In the book, I explain that on this island, a long time ago, probably coming from the first settlers, they brought tablets on wood on which they were writing what they call Rongo Rongo characters. They look a little bit like the Chinese character, And it's mysterious where they got the idea of doing this, who brought that idea. So in my opinion, they had contact with very long time ago. They must have contact with Chinese merchants.
Okay, yeah. Um, I've always thought that as well, that now I do forget what the word is, but I know that there's a word for when people travel and their culture just kind of lingers when they travel. And I think that's a lot of what might have happened there.
Yes. And then the famous Rongo Rongo tablet, they were many thousands of those tablets when the first missionaries came to Easter Island, to Rapa Nui. And because the content of those tablets was interfering with the religion they wanted to impose to those islanders, they decided to burn all the tablets.
Right.
And only a dozen escaped that. They are in museum today, and it's the only thing left over. So they destroy a big piece of history here that is very unfortunate.
It makes you wonder what events and things that happened in history did get destroyed that you'll never know about.
It's right, exactly. So they are the origin of the Rapa Nui people is kind of mysterious. You know, it's not very clear what happened. But so my story, I try to blend people from South America to Polynesian across the Pacific, but we don't know for sure what the truth is.
Yeah, I can definitely see that too. Has writing and publishing a book changed the way you see yourself?
Yes, writing that book and the one before that, it's I became more involved with personal meditation. Say, you know, there is something in us. Albert Einstein says that there is something in each of us that nobody knows what it is.
That's true. Yeah.
That's good for is food for thought.
It is food for thought, right? It makes you think. Makes you wonder, what about me?
Yeah. Where do you come? Where do we come from?
Yeah.
Why is it that we are on this earth now? What difference it makes for the future?
It definitely arises a lot of existential crisis kind of questions.
Yeah. What is our mission?
Why are we here? What is my purpose? What are we gonna do?
Yes.
How did we get to where we are now?
Yeah.
Yeah, all sorts of questions like that. Where can we purchase this book? Do you have a website?
I have I have a website, but you can purchase it on Amazon, on internet. Go into my name, Francis Pitard Books, and then you get the first publisher, you know. And now you are going to be the second one that is going to do a new publication of it. Okay, that is coming soon.
Yeah, I have been working with you on the recent republication of this book as well. So
yeah.
I know that we're going to feature this at the LA Book Fair. Both your book and this video that we're recording right now will be featured at the LA Book Fair. So
I look forward for that.
How that'll go. I just got a couple more questions for you before we wrap this up. Do you have any other thoughts or ideas you'd like to talk about your book?
I want people to read this and get inspired by the philosophy of those people coming from Peru that were promoting peace at all costs. Mm-hmm. They refuse to fight with their adversary. They say your adversary shall never become your enemy. So that is a beautiful quote. And then the Polynesian coming from the other direction that always say, who you are is irrelevant. Don't worry about who you are. What is important is the person you want to be. That is something we should teach our children.
That is, yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I think so many people are focused on who am I right now that they don't even think about who am I going to become.
Yeah, and that is the point. Let's have a dream for each of us. So have a dream for yourself, and proceed. Try to make it reality.
And on top of that, I feel like
it helps you to become a better person.
Yeah. And on top of that, I feel like it's important to remember that while it is important to keep in mind who am I going to be, that's not the most important part. The important part is the growth it takes you to get there.
Yeah. Yes.
How has your experience with Authors Press been so far? Do you have any advice for us that could help us better our services in the future?
So far, I spent a lot of money with you. So I hope it will bear fruit one of those days when we are going to republish all of those books that may turn the tide around. My relationship has been wonderful with all of you. Okay.
We're always looking for advice or anything that could help us better our services for our customers, so that way we can always provide the best services available. I think that's all the questions I have for you today. Are there any other topics or thoughts you'd like to mention before we end the interview?
Not at that stage. We have an overview in a couple of hours for the other book.
Do you want to share a little bit of plans for your third book in the series, or would you rather wait?
The third book in the series, the name will be called The Rise of Rapa Nui.
Okay. I'm excited to see how that goes, and hopefully we can do a virtual interview on that book too.
After the one we are talking about, after Rapa Nui settlers, I will explain how they got up. They did an absolutely amazing thing. And then at one point, the whole thing is going to fall apart because of visitors from overseas. So they will go from 10,000 people on the island down to 110.
Wow.
And then after that, they were down to 110 in the 1950s. And then the tide turned around, in the early 60s, they were given more freedom from the Chilean, and they start to have visitors coming from Tahiti, where they were from in the first place, and they start to rebuild the future. And today they are back. They are, I don't know how many, they are on the island today, maybe about 5,000. And they are on their way to rise again.
That's wonderful. I always feel very happy for people that experience things like that, because I could not imagine being forced into such a situation that my people were dwindling so low. I couldn't imagine how I'd feel or what I'd do. So I always want to do what I can to help,
Yeah, and that is
even
what
if
we
it's
do.
just spreading the story.
Yeah, every year at the end of February, at the beginning of February, they had a festival they call Tapati, and people come from all around the world for 3 weeks. A beautiful festival where they repeat what they did in the old days to try to show how they did things, and so
they're reviving culture.
Yeah, yes, and
That's wonderful.
We are going to go back next February. We are going to go back with me and my family for the 4th time for that festival.
Wonderful. I'm very happy for you. Thank you so much for meeting with me and discussing your book. I really appreciate it, and I really hope you want to do a virtual interview for your third book.
Okay.
Have a wonderful day, and thank you so much to our wonderful listeners for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.